Well, hey there guys, Tom here. Welcome back to my movie channel and thank you very much for joining me for this, my top 10 worst movies of 2021. I've already done my top 10 best movies of the year. If you want to see that, I'll leave a link to that video in the description below, so go and check that out. And right now, we're here to talk about the 10 movies that I saw this year that I thought were the worst movies I've seen in 2021. And before I get into the video, I do have to give this disclaimer that this is a personal list. You know, everyone's list is going to be completely different. And there are probably going to be movies on this list that some of you probably liked or really loved. And that's great. I celebrate that you liked or loved some of these movies. But, you know, we all have different opinions about movies. And these are movies that just for me personally didn't work. I'm not trying to change anybody's minds here. If you loved any of the movies I'm going to list here today, that's fantastic. What are some of the worst movies you guys have seen in 2021? What are some movies that you didn't like? Make sure you jump down that comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, let's get into it. The 10 worst movies of 2021. Okay, in the 10th spot, we do have Black Widow. Black Widow was a movie that I was very excited for. The trailers I thought were really good. I love Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff, you know, one of the OG Avengers. And Black Widow does have its redeeming qualities. I really loved Yelena, played by Florence Pugh. She's fantastic in this film. And I really enjoyed David Harbour's character of Alexei as Red Guardian. And those were the bright spots of the movie to me. But otherwise, I thought Black Widow was a bland, boring, very generic action movie that I thought was pretty amateurly directed. Kate Shortland as a director, while I appreciate that Scarlett Johansson went and handpicked her to direct the movie, I think that's a very sweet story that ScarJo liked some of her work and wanted her to direct it because she was a producer on the movie as well. But she isn't good with the action sequences. The action sequences in the movie were not very good at all. And you just couldn't help but feel like when you're watching, I just couldn't shake the sense that this is a movie that's so long overdue and so past its expiry date that you really felt like they just made it because they felt like they had to, not because they wanted to. And, you know, this is a movie that should have come out right after Civil War. I mean, you basically have another, like, you know, Hydra with the Black Widow girls. And I'm sorry, but the magic fairy dust that wakes up the Black Widows and, you know, Dracoff played by the great Ray Winstone, who was not very good in this movie. You know, that whole aspect of the film, the villains were a letdown. The Black Widow's spy element was just, it wasn't what it should have been. Black Widow just, it didn't live up and it didn't justify its own existence to me. Black Widow, incredibly disappointed, really wanted to love it, was really hoping for great things. Unfortunately, it was a letdown. Okay, 9th on the list, we have Dear Evan Hansen. This was a film that, you know, there's a lot of discourse going on online about this movie. And, you know, some people really love this movie and it really worked for them personally and it really hit them on a level and worked for them. As far as technically making a movie, from cinematography and directing and acting, it's got all those things down. It really does. I think what makes Dear Evan Hansen a misfire to me, and I refer to this movie as an uncomfortable misfire, because the messaging of the movie was all over the place. And they started out okay, but as you get in the movie, I started to really realize that, you know, Evan Hansen is an unlikable asshole. You know, he makes a mistake, and that's fine. He makes a mistake, he panics, and he lets the parents believe this thing, and then he just keeps up with it. And then by the end of the movie tries to have him do something to, you know, and it portrays it as this act of, like, he's trying to redeem himself and make good and make everyone, you know, happy, but he ends up doing something worse. And the movie tries to show it as, you know, but look, he's tried to make amends and he's made amends and everything's all good now. And no, it's not. No, it's not. It was uncomfortable in all the ways that it shouldn't have been. From conception, it's supposed to be an uncomfortable story to watch, but it was uncomfortable in all ways that they didn't intend for it to be. And aside from the fact that, you know, Ben Platt, as terrific of an actor as he is, and my God, that guy can sing, he looks like he's 45 and playing a high school kid. That doesn't work. And it really does take you out of the movie. So yeah, Dear Evan Hansen, an uncomfortable misfire of mixed messaging. Okay, number 8 on the list, we have The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. You know, I really enjoyed The Hitman's Bodyguard, the first movie that came out a few years ago with Sam Jackson and Ryan Reynolds. And, I thought it was a fun comedic action romp. Like, it was just a fun time. It wasn't one of the greatest movies in the world, but it was a fun time at the movies. And I enjoyed that film on a level that, it is a little bit ridiculous, but it had a certain line that it didn't cross. It was ridiculous enough, but not too ridiculous to the point that you just sort of go, well, now, all bets are off. It's just stupid. And Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard got to the point where I'm like, okay, this is too far out of the realm of any sense of believability about the movie and the human body was just thrown out the window. I mean, the Ryan Reynolds character in this movie literally gets hit by a car about 3 different times, gets straight back up again. He gets run over by a boat. Seriously, gets run over by a boat going at full speed and basically gets straight back up again. At a certain point, I'm like, you know what? This movie's just sticky, stupid, dumb comedy and it's not working for me. And I really didn't like it, despite the fact that, by the way, Selma Hayek in this movie is like the best thing in this movie. She was so funny in this film. I loved Selma Hayek in this movie. I really did. This is really her movie. I loved her in this movie. I love all 3 of these guys. Morgan Freeman, Ryan Reynolds, Selma Hayek, Samuel L. Jackson. I love them all, but unfortunately, The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard just got too stupid for me, and it really started to take me out of the movie, and it really bugged me, and yeah, I didn't like the movie at all. Okay, I feel like I want to get up and just shake the camera very violently because number 7 on this list is Snake Eyes, and wow, Snake Eyes. This was a film that I didn't get to see when it first came out, otherwise I would have reviewed it because I was put into a 7-day lockdown when the movie was supposed to release. And so I saw it like a couple of weeks later due to, the pandemic and whatever. And so when I saw Snake Eyes, I heard about how bad it was. And then I'm watching the movie and you realize, oh my God, whoever shot this movie clearly has never heard of a tripod. They don't know what a tripod is. They don't know what a dolly is because every single action scene in this movie was nothing but shaky cam. And, I thought, oh, we're finally getting past the days where, you can tell where a director is inexperienced with action, where all they do is shake the camera. I thought we're getting past that. No, we're back to it with Snake Eyes. Everything in this movie was just shaky cam nonsense. And the character of Snake Eyes himself, he is such an unlikable douchebag. It's really hard to get attached to a character as your hero when he's completely an unlikable asshole. And man, Snake Eyes, look, I had some optimism for the future of the G.I. Joe franchise, but after seeing Snake Eyes, absolutely no hope for this franchise at all. Let it die. Okay, next up on the list is Voyagers. This was a movie that had some promise to be this sci-fi kind of almost like, do you remember that movie like Passengers with Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence? I didn't mind that movie, and Voyagers looked like that kind of thing. You've got these, the people, they're born on the spaceship and they're trying to colonize another planet, and then they're taking this weird blue liquid that suppresses all their emotions and their hormones, and because they don't want these kids breeding on the ship because it's going to take 80 years to get to this new planet. It was just a boring, bland, nonsensical mess of a movie that really you could sum it up with horny teenagers want to fuck on a spaceship. That's the entire plot of this movie. Horny teenagers are not allowed to fuck, and then they stop taking the medicine, and so now they learn that they can fuck, and then they want to fuck on the spaceship. That's the plot of Voyagers. So yeah, Voyagers, not great. Hi, it's Tom from the future here. I'm just interjecting here for a second because I realized that after I'd shot and edited this video that I left out something that I should have said, which was, if you guys are wondering why movies like Space Jam: A New Legacy and Netflix's Thunder Force aren't on this list, it's because I didn't see them. I give myself a couple of passes every year, a couple of free passes to avoid horrible movies that I don't want to see, and Space Jam: A New Legacy and Thunder Force were those 2 movies this year, so they'd probably make the list if I saw them. They probably deserve to from everything I've heard, but I didn't see them, so that's why they're not on the list. So anyway, guys, back to regularly scheduled programming. Okay, and the fifth spot is Matrix Resurrections. This was a movie, it's called Matrix Resurrections. It should have stayed dead. Matrix Resurrections was not a good movie. I know there are some people that love Matrix Resurrections and they connected with it. They were on the same wavelength as it. I've seen a lot of discourse on Twitter about this movie. There are people that love it. There are people that don't love it. I really like that when people have opposite opinions, like completely opposite opinions on a movie. I love that. I think disagreeing about a movie and debates about a movie can be really fun. And if you really like Matrix Resurrections, that's fantastic. I celebrate that you like it. I wish I did. I didn't. I love Keanu, but no, this movie, the Matrix Resurrections lost me in like the first 20 minutes. Actually, the opening action scene I thought was pretty good with Yahya as Morpheus and the Bugs character. I thought that action scene in the opening scene was pretty well done and I was enjoying it, but the movie lost me as soon as you find out that Neo is now a game developer and 20 years ago, he developed a trilogy of games. Any guesses what the game's called? The Matrix. And now Warner Brothers, that's right, the studio that produced the movie is also in universe as the company that's paying for these games to get made. And they want him to make a sequel to a fourth Matrix game. And at that point, the movie lost me, and then it just got completely nonsensical from there. Nostalgia, I've seen a lot of debates about nostalgia. And with things like Spider-Man No Way Home and Star Wars and Matrix Resurrections, because there's a lot of member berries in this movie and a lot of retconning. And, nostalgia can be a good thing. People use nostalgia like a dirty word. People use, playing on what was as a dirty word. And it's not if you weave it organically into a narrative. But Matrix Resurrections to me is just all about, hey, remember this? Look what we recreated this shot from the first movie, or we're calling back to this, or we're calling back to that. That's all this movie was to me. And maybe I missed the point on Matrix Resurrections. I don't know. All I know is that I wasn't enjoying it. And as I was watching it, all I was thinking about was what I was going to have for lunch. And that's not a good sign. When I'm watching a movie and I'm not enjoying it and all I can think about is lunch, then I'm sorry, it's not a good movie, at least to me. And again, if you love Matrix Resurrections, that's great. It didn't work for me. Okay, and the fourth spot is one of the most disappointing movies of the year, and that's Halloween Kills. I was a big fan of the 2018 Halloween reboot. I really liked that movie. Well, it's not a reboot. It's a sequel, and there's pretending that the other ones don't exist. Anyway, I really liked the 2018 Halloween movie. I thought it was a fun film. Halloween Kills was a boring disappointment. Like, I'm sorry. How can you have a whole Halloween movie and the entire movie Laurie doesn't leave the hospital? How do you have that as the entire movie? I understand the movie was supposed to be about the town rising up to fight Michael Myers. And at this point, Michael Myers, he's basically a superhero. Like, at this point, he is a superhuman being. Like, he's not just a dude in a mask like he was previously or was supposed to be. I thought this movie was it was boring. It was just absolutely, utterly boring. And I was really excited about it as well. And I'm looking forward to the third one because hopefully something happens in the third one that's at all exciting. Nothing in this movie at all excited me, and it really sucks because the 2018 Halloween movie was really good. It was really fun. I enjoyed it a great deal. But when you have a whole movie where your main character doesn't leave the hospital and Michael Myers is just running around killing people, like, I don't know. Okay, third on the list, if you've seen my review, you know it's probably going to make this list at some point. It's Fast 9. I said in the review that when I left this movie, I left fast and I was very fucking furious. And oh boy, was I furious. The Fast and the Furious movies have been, they've been this fun action, kind of ridiculous, kind of stupid, but believably stupid. Like, to a certain point, like I was saying with Hitman's Bodyguard, to a certain point, you can believe the ridiculousness. You can believe the heightened reality of it. Fast 9, any sense of realism, believability, logic, science, any of that is just completely tossed out the window. Vin Diesel, Dom Toretto, is the biggest Mary Sue in cinema history. And in this movie, he literally does things that, like, all of us, like, Vin Diesel keeps giving him abilities that Dom Toretto shouldn't have as a regular human being. The fact that he can, in this movie, that he is being attacked by like 50 guys on a bridge and then pulls the ceiling down with 2 chains that are hanging from the roof and pulls the ceiling down on them. Like, come on. Come on. And his white tank top never gets fucking a scratch on it. It's beautifully pristine and white for the entire movie. It doesn't matter how many explosions he's a part of. Oh, and then by the way, yes, they shoot a car into space. We all thought it was going to happen. We all kind of wanted it to happen. And then when it happened, we're all like, nope, that's as dumb as it probably should have been. Yeah, it was just a bad movie, man. And I've enjoyed a lot of the Fast and Furious films. I have. It's like, I just, for some reason, Fast 9 just went too far in one direction and it just didn't work. Okay, I'm going to try and not talk about this movie a lot. I saw Amazon's Cinderella movie so that you don't have to. Just take my word for that. Don't see the Cinderella movie on Amazon. It's not very good. Listen, I don't mind Camila Cabello. I actually like some of her music, and I actually think she was pretty good in the movie. I do. But the movie itself was not very good at all. Like, just take my advice on that, okay? I'm not going to get too mad about it, because in my review, if you saw my review, I got pretty fired up over Cinderella. It was a very poor musical adaptation movie, whatever you want to call it. It was just poor. And Camila Cabello was the bright spot in the movie. I actually thought she was pretty good in the film. It was a movie that I didn't enjoy. And to be honest, Amazon Prime have been putting out quite a few, like some of their original movies are actually pretty good. They got a better track record with original films than Netflix has. And so, you know, it has potential. There's potential in the movie, and it really sucks when I can see a movie that has, you know, some potential to it and it just falls massively short of it. And Cinderella, it could have been a fun little musical. It could have been, but it just wasn't good. Okay, we've reached number 1. Now, this is a movie that I guarantee you no one in America has seen yet. Well, not nobody, but I doubt any of you guys have seen this movie. This movie is a movie called Ascendant. And in America, I think it's called Rising Wolf. I don't know if it's out yet or not. Anyway, let me set up what this movie is basically about, okay? The movie opens with a teenage girl trapped in an elevator. There's a screen in the elevator where Russian bad guys have kidnapped her dad because they're trying to get some information out of him, and they want her to convince her dad through the screen to tell them what they need to know. It was great. For the first 20 minutes, girl, elevator, Russian bad guys, she's trying to get out of the elevator. She's got a cell phone that they don't know about. She's calling someone to help her try and find a way out of this elevator. I was in for like 20 minutes, and no joke, they keep flashing back to like something in her past, hinting that there's some supernatural element. And I'm not kidding. At the end of the movie, you find out, and she turns into a giant like dust cloud, and you find out that she is the human embodiment of Mother Nature. Let me say that again. She becomes Mother Nature at the end of the movie. What the fuck? You had me. Girl, elevator, Russian bad guys. Awesome, I'm in. Why is she Mother Nature, Mother Earth, whatever she is? She's a dust cloud. It made no sense. It was the biggest left turn in a movie I've ever seen. It was like, really? You had me with just girl, elevator, Russian bad guys can't get out of the elevator, getting, you know, tortured with, they keep sending the elevator up and down at like ridiculous speeds to torture her to get information out of her. It had me. She turns into Mother Nature, a dust cloud. What the fuck? And there's something with her sister, I don't know. Anyway, that is the worst movies I've seen in 2021. Let me know in the comment section below, what are some of the worst movies you guys have seen this year? Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that notifications bell if you haven't been here before. Thank you very much for watching, guys. My name is Tom, and I will see you guys next time.